Everyone. I am Juhi from Clean, and I would like to welcome you all to the launch event of our report titled as Sensitizing Financial Institutions Towards Lending to Decentralized Renewable Energy Enterprises and End Users. So just before we move forward, there are a couple of house rules. I would request all of you to keep yourself on mute and keep the videos off to save the bandwidth. Also, if anyone has any questions in between of the session, they can use the chat box and our team will respond to you. In case you face any trouble, you can raise up your hands and we'll unmute you and you can then ask the questions. So without wasting much time, I would like to invite our Clean's board member, Mr. Piyush Mathur, to welcome all our participants.
Thank you, Juhi. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Piyush Mathur, and I welcome you all to this launch event where we've gathered to receive this year's financing report from Clean. The earlier editions have been extremely well received by the international community as well as the financiers in India, and I'm hoping that this edition of Clean's financing report is also equally well received. This report is coming at a peculiar time. As we've all come to realize, financing is a key enabler for DRE adoption in target communities. But sadly, over the years, we've also learned that financing has also emerged as a single biggest constraint for adoption of DRE. So the topic is important by itself anyway, but in 2020, the problem has been further exacerbated by COVID, which has also made it difficult for lending institutions to pursue innovative financing solutions for financing new products like DRE applications. So this report, again, is very timely and topical as we grapple with some of the aftermaths of COVID. Clean, as you might know, has taken a number of steps over the years to demystify and promote financing for DRE applications amongst customers. The first report, as I recall, on financing was back in 2015, which I vividly recall was very widely circulated amongst international investors like OPEC, USAID, who have all been supporting clean energy adoption in India, and was actually very well received. The next edition was in 2017, where the focus was very specifically on debt financing and mobilizing local financing channels to promote DRE adoption. This year's report is happening on the back of Clean having also launched a finance facilitation desk, which I'm assuming most of you are aware of, and some of you have probably taken advantage of as well. So this report is also coming at a time when a number of initiatives have been launched by the government to promote financing more generally for MSMEs, but specifically for DRE applications also. As part of this development of this report, I am told that 49 financing partners were surveyed and their perspectives were collected. The Clean Secretariat asked me to highlight some of the key findings from the report, but I'm not going to do that because that will steal the thunder of all the discussion that's going to come. But what I will tell you is that it's a very comprehensive piece of work, which is examining a number of aspects around promoting financing amongst or promoting financing for DRE amongst stakeholders, but they're also collecting perspectives from them on understanding the diffusion of knowledge amongst the financing community on DRE products and applications, also understanding what different types of mechanisms, innovative or proven, are being employed and what sort of partnership templates are being used to offer financing for DRE products. So once again, welcome to all of you, and I request you all to sort of absorb the discussion over the next 1.5 hours, and also actively participate to benefit most from the work that Clean has done this year on further opening up channels of financing for the sector. Thank you very much. Back to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Piyush, for welcoming everyone. We are honored to have Dr. P. Satish, Executive Director of Sadhan. I would like to invite him to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, the entire Clean team, for inviting me for this event. And as we all know, financing is an important issue, and microfinance sector, along with the broader banking sector, is involved in financing various activities, including renewable energy. I thank Advait, Piyush, Anuj, and the team for having me here and sharing some of my thoughts. And I would like to share not only from the perspective of the microfinance sector, but from the broader financial sector, because that's what is required for financing decentralized renewable energy. And if you look at the banking sector, financing renewable energy is not new to the banking sector. As a part of IRDP, some of the senior bankers would realize that a lot of financing was there for activities like biogas in the 70s and 80s. But it was not a very happy experience because of various factors involved and acceptability, as well as maybe technology related issues. But having said that, a couple of days back, when I was going through some of the older annual reports of my previous institution, NABARD, I found that as early as 1996, there was a communication between MNRE and NABARD to explore the possibility of bank financing for solar irrigation pump sets. And after some field level studies and technical studies, NABARD reported back saying that with some caveats and conditions, financing solar irrigation pump set is a viable and a bankable proposition. So that was how many years back? More than 25 years back. But after that, probably we have lost the line of connect with financing DRE. Only in 2000s, we have again come back with financing of solar home systems, first pioneered by some regional rural banks. I have to mention the Aryavat Gramin Bank based in Lucknow, which has pioneered. Mr. Joshi has done a good work. And after that, that was the what we can say inspiration for MNRE to come out with the subsidy linked scheme for financing solar home lighting system. And it was a good scheme and was adopted by RRBs and commercial banks, and we brought it to the cooperative banks also. There were some operational and implementation level issues, but that has really shown that bank finance can and should be sourced as far as renewable energy is concerned. I feel personally that there is a lot of work to be done with the financing institutions. We have been regularly engaging and discussing with the Clean team as to how to go about. I would only recall that having worked in NABARD for so many years, if you look at a period 30 or 35 years back, it was equally difficult to convince banks to finance agriculture term loans like dairy, poultry, irrigation and all such activities. And it took a lot of efforts, a lot of projects. We had World Bank and IDA promoted projects with refinance, and also where we trained the bankers in financing the agricultural projects. It was a good and what we can say a very comprehensive program of skilling the bankers to finance agriculture. And that has picked up. It has taken time, it has picked up, and now it is a commonplace for any rural banker or semi-urban banker to finance agriculture. I think, I believe that financing DRE is also at such a stage. And since RBI has approved DRE as a priority sector financing, both for manufacturers as well as what we can say the end users, we'll have to put in a lot of efforts the way we did for agriculture financing. And for that, we have to carry along with us Reserve Bank and also DFIs like NABARD and SIDBI, because what they say is usually listened to and followed by the bankers. And we will have to have a lot of model bankable schemes on a little more popular and usually more easily implementable DRE schemes, scheme outlines, project outlines. These are the works I think Clean has already done, and the Clean Finance Facilitation desk will be doing a good work in taking this forward. And not only, of course, the microfinance sector has perfected some part of financing, but a large part is in the solar lanterns. But the microfinance sector has to move beyond solar lanterns into solar home lighting systems and solar and other DRE livelihoods in coordination with support from Selco Foundation. We are implementing a project in Odisha, where we want to take livelihood financing through DRE mode. So we'll have to see whichever livelihood activities can really be energized with DRE rather than conventional sources of energy. And here another issue which we will have to convince users as well as bankers is that despite the grid reaching every place, there is still a scope for DRE solutions, because here we will have to look at from the point of view of climate change adaptation and replacing fossil fuel with renewable energy. And when we look at countries like Germany or Denmark or France, who are aiming at more than 50% of their energy from the DRE RE sources, it can be either indirect or decentralized or centralized, but renewable energy will be the source of energy in all the European countries, though normal electricity grid is there in each and nook and corner of the country. So we will have to act from that point of view. And also we have to see more involvement by all the mainstream bankers, commercial banks, RRBs, cooperative banks. So we'll have to work out mechanisms to see that how exactly we will be able to bring all these banking institutions into the fold of financing renewable energy schemes and livelihoods. And in the end, I would only like to say that going forward, maybe I would like to envisage a period 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead, where financing a DRE solution for the banker should be as easily as financing a tractor or financing a home loan or financing a car loan or a scooter loan. So I would like to work, I would like all of us to work for that goal. Whereas where it would be as easy to finance a solar powered tailoring machine or a solar powered dairy or a solar powered drying system for the agriculture as easily as anyone can go to a bank and get a loan for a car. So with that, I have gone through the executive summary, and it brings out a lot of interesting suggestions and solutions. And some of these, I think we will have to take up with MNRE, and some of them will have to take up with Reserve Bank and DFIs like NABARD and SIDBI. And I think we are from Southern side, we are always willing to work together with Clean to take many of these issues forward. Though our mandate is only towards the microfinance sector and the small finance bank, some of us can really use our previous experience and reach out to the broader banking sector and the financial sector also. And I thank Clean team once again for having invited me here for this event and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish ji, for sharing your perspectives. I would request you to keep the camera on as we are about to do the launch of the report, official launch of the report. I would like to invite Piyush and the core team members to switch on their videos and proceed with the launch of the report. Over to you, Anuj.
Thank you, Joey. Joey, can you share the screen? Okay. Thank you so much for all of you for joining us today in the afternoon. It's a pleasure to have all of you here. I think this report is something which we were working for quite some time. I think we started early of the year, but due to the pandemic, we were not able to engage with the financial institutions in person or visit them and speak and understand more in depth what are they thinking. But the 49 financial institutions who have participated in the survey, which comprises of microfinance institutions, NBFCs, regional rural banks, donors, foundations, etc. And we are very thankful for them, for spending us time going through our questionnaire, responding to our questions, and also sharing insights about how they perceive the DRE sector. So with that, I think on behalf of all of us who are present here and from the Clean Secretariat, announce the launch of the report. I would also like to thank all the donors and supporters, all the Clean members for being supportive. And I think, as Satish Ji was saying, that we need to have more involvement with the mainstream bankers and other financial institutions. The 49 whom we have interviewed, uh, they were those who were to some extent aware about the Clean's work and the DRE sector. But there are more number of financial institutions that we plan to reach out. And this report, this insights, the perspectives that the financial institutions have shared, I think that is going to be very useful for us to engage, to leverage, and also support Clean members and DRE enterprises in this access to finance initiative. So with that, I would like to end here. I'm not going through the entire report, but after this, my colleagues Amitosh and Gaurav will be sharing some findings of the report. Thank you, Juhi. Thank you, Piyush. Thank you, Satish sir.
Anuj, it's customary to clap whenever we launch a report, so here is a little one from me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Over to you, Juhi.
Thank you, Anuj. I would request Amitosh and Gaurav to proceed with the presentation. Ananya, if you could share the presentation, please.
Yes, thanks, Joey, and hello, everyone. Uh, I would be briefing about the report and we'll be presenting the first few slides of our presentation. So, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Amitosh,
Yes,
you're
you are
audible.
audible.
Yeah. We all know that decentralized renewable energy is playing a pivotal role in fixing not only the issues of clean energy access, but also in raising the standards of the living of the underserved communities by enabling better cooking environment, income generation, healthcare, and in education, which have been showcased by numerous case studies by clean members spread across India. We believe that DRE is the way forward and to create local pockets of sustainable economic generation activities. Hence, it becomes important for us to sensitize the financial institutions about DRE and its applications and to understand their perspectives of the sector to create a smoother flow of funds and products by addressing the gaps highlighted. So Clean, with support of Margdarshan Consultancy Services, had conducted a survey with various financial institutions to brief them about DRE, energy efficient products, and to get their know-how as well as opinion on the sector. We conducted one-on-one discussion with 49 financial institutions, out of which 11 are banks, including the nationalized and the state rural banks. 21 were MFIs across the various legal forms. The breakup is shown on this slide. Yes. Ananya, please move to next slide. So this slide shows the list of the respondents who have responded to our survey, and the 11 financial institutions have requested us not to disclose their names, but we have included their kind inputs in the report. And then next slide. Yes. So what we observed was that out of the 46 sample size of financial institutions, 40 had some form of dedicated financial products for DRE applications, such as debt, loan, or even revolving funds. And these mostly cater to the lanterns, solar home systems, and improved cook stoves, which clearly indicates that there is a gap among the financial institutions when it comes to offer high ticket size products to enterprises as well as end consumers. We noticed that they were less aware of the DRE powered livelihood applications, and even if they had some acquaintance, they lacked information on the financial aspects that are related to that product. The table on the right shows the the applications that currently exist in the portfolio and the future products such as cold storages, solar aerators, pottery wheel, etc., that the financial institutions are working on to offer. New entrepreneurs can come up with ideas and segments on EVs, biomass electricity generation, which is gaining traction. Uh, During the project, financial institutions told us that the maximum beneficiaries of their financial products for the DRE applications were underserved communities such as SHGs, women and their family members, daily wage workers, small shop owners, handloom artisans, etc. And this is what DRE aims. We are highly optimistic that the responses given by the financial institutions will help the clean members to align their ideas and target the customer base. I would now request Gaurav to present the rest of the slides.
Thank you so much, Amitosh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. So, taking the presentation further, and in such challenging times, we are indeed thankful to all the financial institutions who very keenly participated, as very nicely shared by Amitosh. And as the context was set in a way when Piyush mentioned, as well as Mr. Satish mentioned about some legacy data of 96 as well as 2000, that there was Aryavart Bank which started financing solar home systems, and thereafter subsidy was withdrawn. So taking the awareness level ahead, we also asked respondents, and by the way, I represent Margdarshan Advisory and Consultancy Services. I also take this opportunity to thank Clean for having us on board to conduct this study along with them. Moving ahead, with respect to category-wise awareness about DRE applications amongst the financial institutions, we created 3 different levels of awareness. We call them as completely aware, partially aware, and not aware. So 45% of the respondents were partially aware of the decentralized renewable energy products and applications. And 11% were totally not aware. 11% of the total respondents were not were completely aware about the DRE sector. If we look at the category-wise awareness level, to gauge awareness level, we had provided a list of agriculture as well as non-agriculture DRE applications as well as products to the respondents. The level of awareness was found to be highest amongst the microfinance institutions. And this is something Mr. Satish ji also mentioned during the start of the talk. Maximum non-awareness level was seen amongst the small finance banks. And perhaps because they have recently been, some of them have converted from microfinance institutions, and they have a very different focus right now to make sure that they have more robust small finance banking operations. Overall banks, if we look at, overall banks reported partial level of awareness of DRE products. And I think this again correlates to what Satish ji mentioned. So in the last 5-6 years, ever since the subsidy on solar home systems and few other products have been withdrawn, the activity level of banks have actually got reduced in financing the DRE products. I'll request Ananya to move on to the next slide. With respect to ways of spreading consumer awareness, we found a lot of interesting inputs. A lot of financial institutions reported that, especially the MFIs, as most of us would know, are also promoting their products with the assistance of product manufacturers through center meetings. But there were a few MFIs which also reported, say, for example, the state of Odisha and other Northeast states, that the products are also being promoted by MFIs through NGOs and FPOs. So there's a local level partnership also happening on the ground, especially for the higher value products. From a bank's perspective, the awareness level is largely being created around the banks through demo camps as well as Krishi Melas, which is a very important element or activity in the agriculture sector in India. And banks also, some of the banks also welcome product companies to attend their regional review meetings to promote the product, to create awareness of the product at a senior to middle management level. So it was a major takeaway for us that the awareness level has to be created at various levels of the engagement or partnership. In fact, BIRD, which is an autonomous body of NABARD, also has been telling us that there are rural institutes, training institutes at each district level, which can be used to promote these products. Moving on further from a market knowledge perspective, financing and sales of traditional solar lanterns, home systems, and other lighting products seems to be going down. And there are a lot of surveys and reports, both primary and secondary, have been done to validate this. However, a good sign is that the demand for higher value DRE powered agriculture as well as non-agriculture products seems to be going up. And this is where the sweet spot lies. This is where the big opportunity lies. Which ultimately means that if the demand for the higher value products is going, DRE products is going up, it also creates an opportunity for more employment generation as well as income generation. Financial institutions also expect market intervention or some kind of intervention to bring down the price of panels as well as batteries further. They also believe that the direct credit of upfront subsidy, which can happen to the loan amount which is being disbursed to the customer or the client, would be highly beneficial and helpful. Moving further, as you can all see on your right hand side, there is a table. It's a small extract snapshot we have taken from the report. Essentially, we asked all the financial institutions, what are the top brands, in the DRE sector which comes to their mind. And as you can see in the second middle column, some of the brands listed which comes to their mind, and it is spread over solar lighting as well as other DRE productive applications, either agriculture or non-agriculture. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Right. Very important element of any financial institution for DRE as well as financial institutions. Now let's quickly look at what are some of the findings with respect to loan characteristics. Overall, MFIs, I would like to quickly highlight a few quick points from all these 4 graphs put together. As you can see, the MFIs are majorly dealing with unsecured lending, where the ticket size ranges between 900 rupees as low as 900 rupees to as high as 1,60,000 for DRE products and applications financing. NBFCs, we also spoke to NBFCs, also have started providing innovative debt instruments to DRE productive DRE enterprises, which is in the range of 50 lakhs to INR 5 crore. Private banks and small finance banks are offering higher ticket size secured loans, which include hypothecation as well as or mortgaging of assets to the financier. Impact investors, another important constituent of the financial institution ecosystem, have generally been providing average ticket size of 1 CR to 15 CR to the Indian DRE sector. Few MFIs, interestingly, and this is quite innovative, and some of you may already be knowing, are also providing zero interest loans to their end customers or clients, especially for the loans which are sub 10,000. And so far, it has been limited to solar lanterns and home systems and few appliances. Definitely, there is a scope and opportunity to increase this to higher end systems also, if there is a security mechanism around it. Average loan tenure offered by some of the MFIs is around 2 to 4 years, depending on the ticket size of the DRE product or application. However, banks and NBFCs are giving loans which are generally in the range of 9 to 15 years, with plus minus 10%, if I may say so. We can move on to the next slide, please. Now, let's quickly talk about what the respondents have to say about the multiple risks involved and what kind of support the financial institutions feel should be provided to the DRE sector. From a risk perspective, we got some 76 to 80 responses from 49 respondents. And some of the major risks which were highlighted were number 1 being system non-performance. Although the overall quality testing standards have improved, yet either because of lack of awareness or whatever experiences these financial institutions have had in the past, they still feel that the system non-performance is the major factor. So 20% of the respondents mentioned system non-performance as a major risk, followed by 16% of the respondents felt that the DRE business models are non-scalable, and 16% the loan default chances is a major non being 60. Under the others category, you can see some of the reasons mentioned, right from theft to professionalism, sometimes displayed by local level people in the DRE sector. And kind of as far as the support is required, support is a very interesting element, because from a support perspective, we again got 82 responses from 49 respondents. And as you can see, 15% of the respondents are of this view that DRE sector enterprises and some MFIs also need alternate form of funding. For example, NBFCs. We also spoke to NBFCs. NBFCs are not eligible for subsidy, which is being given by IREDA or MNRE. So there seems to be a lack of level playing field for the financial institutions also when they are looking at investing in the DRE sector. 30% of the, from an alternate form of funding, the FIs as well as the DRE need alternate funding as well as low cost of funds. 13% of the respondents also suggested creating a credit guarantee fund or a refinancing fund. I think we'll discuss that more slightly little later. And 12% of the respondents suggested having subsidy for higher value products, because that will help in encouraging more FIs, more financial institutions institutions to give loans as NBFCs will jump on to the next slide, which is challenges experienced. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right. So as you all can see, many challenges mentioned here. Of the many interesting learnings we have come across, I would like to highlight a couple of points here. One is the end consumer financing. As per the financial institutions, there appears to be a big gap, and as per DRE as well, there appears to be a big gap in the availability of end consumer financing as the consumer moves from low cost, such as solar lanterns, home systems, to high cost DRE applications, such as solar powered rice hullers, dal mixture, etc. Again, from an enterprise financing perspective, we got this feedback that largely the financial institutions feel the DRE business models are not scalable. And one good example which was quoted was the pay-as-you-go models, which have not seen success in India as it has seen in some of the countries, Western Africa, Eastern Africa, like Kenya, Nigeria. Another interesting input which we got was the financial institutions also feel that the proposals being sent out by DRE enterprises for raising further funding are not robust enough. They are being prepared at a local level rather than, in fact, involving professional people like company secretaries, chartered accountants, etc. So I think definitely there's a scope for improvement on that front. On the subsidy front, I think the free shift in subsidy or creates a lot of, so there needs to be some level of consistency in the overall subsidy policy. Yeah. All right. So what is the way forward? The good part is that overall the DRE sector looks very promising to finance. Good institutions say this during the Corona time is wearing innovation at multiple levels, innovative ways, design indicated, as my colleague Amitosh also mentioned, there are no data this that also needs to be created by financial institutions. Leveraging of this scheme, a particular scheme is also eligible for DRE financing under priority sector lending. So that clear circular has to be given by the top management or middle management to the branch level branch managers as well. So which can help in leveraging existing loan schemes. Setting up of a new fund. So a couple of them are listed here. One is the Clean Energy Refinancing Fund, another being Clean Energy Credit Guarantee Fund. So a refinancing fund basically will help banks and NBFCs in giving lower cost of interest to the end consumers. I mean, a rate of interest will become quite less, and refinancing by NABARD and RBI approved schemes would be beneficial. And this is something which we also concluded. Under Clean Energy Credit Guarantee Fund, it can be created and can be managed by bilaterals as well as multilateral organizations, including USAID, ADB, NABARD, other DFIs, etc. And CSR also contributes. Basically, we access by the institutions. We hope that this report gives
Gaurav,
a lot of
Gaurav, sorry to interrupt. Gaurav, your voice is breaking. Would you like
ideas and practical action points?
Gaurav, sorry to intervene. Your voice is breaking.
Your DRE businesses as well as gives
David, I think we lost him. He seems to have dropped out.
Yeah, I think there's some issue with his internet.
So it's okay. I think anyway it was a last slide. People can read from the report. Let some curiosity remain. So thank you, Amitosh and Gaurav, for sharing the key findings of the report. Just for the benefit of everyone, I would let you inform that the report would be shared within the inbox in some duration itself. Maybe David, if you could share the link with people.
I'm sorry I got disconnected, Jui, but I hope my points were always everybody's able to hear my points.
Yes, Gaurav, no problem. So now moving on to the next segment of the event, that is the panel discussion on role of financing to help DRE enterprises reach out relevant market and target market and customers in India. I would like to invite our panelist, Mr. Amitesh Kumar, Executive Vice President and CFO from Midland Microfinance. Sir, I would request you to turn on the video and unmute yourself. Ms. Aparna Mangla, India Regional Manager from Cell Foundation. Mr. Manoj Rawat, Founder and CEO, ValueFin India. And Mr. Anubhav Joshi, CEO, Udaipur Urja Initiatives. I would also like to invite Anuj from Clean, who would be moderating the session. Over to you, Anuj.
Thank you, Jui. Thank you for inviting all the panelists. I think without any further to do, I think we'll begin. I think I would begin by just summarizing what Satishji and Piyush and what Gaurav has mentioned. And I think it's very clearly visible from the interactions with the financial institutions that we were having that there is a lot of opportunity for both lenders as well as enterprises to partner with each other. And there are also supporting factors. We have the MNRE draft policy for DRE for livelihood. There is the RBI's priority sector guidelines, which have come in place. Then the KUSUM program, which is also being converged with the Agri Infrastructure Fund of Ministry of Agriculture. And then there are several other efforts which are being undertaken by DRE stakeholders across the country. And I think the aim that the Clean has is to bring all of them together, converge, and where we can deploy more number of DRE applications and help build a sustainable environment. Yeah, so with that, I would like to welcome all the panelists here with us. To all the esteemed panelists, what I would like you to do is also very briefly introduce about the organization so that the members and the participants would be able to understand where you're coming from. And I'll request all the participants to post their questions to the chat box. They can write the name of the person whom they would like to ask questions. I would like to begin with Mr. Amitesh from Midland. And sir, as you have seen from the report, the findings that the MFI fraternity are the ones who are highly aware about the DRE applications. At the same time, you have also engaged with many of the DRE companies, etc. It also reports about the various risks which the financial institutions have mentioned if they are planning to enter, for example, non-performance, non-scalable model, loan defaults, lack of after sales, etc., etc. With your experience with the DRE enterprises where you have worked, what would you advise to the DRE enterprises who are also present here in terms of prioritizing those risks which will help them to engage with the financial institutions, especially with the MFIs. That is one. The second thing, sir, I wanted to also know is that many of the clean members have partnered with MFIs. Many of them have not partnered, and they would also like to know how we can engage with MFIs like you, and how to understand what kind of responsibilities the MFI and the enterprises would take in terms of identifying customers who would be doing the selling, financing, collections. What are the roles of both the parties here? So I think with that, I'll like to begin from you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anuj. It's me, Amitesh Kumar. I am EVP and CFO of Midland Microfin, and we are a typically microfinance company, NBFC MFI, and we operate in 7 North Indian states. We started from Punjab, Haryana, and now we are present in Bihar, UP, Himachal, Rajasthan majorly. We have more than 4 lakh of customer base, approx 1,000 crore of balance sheet size. So we are very, in fact, since very beginning of our inception, we were very keen of financing these DRE solutions. But I think we started with our general practices, which MFIs were doing since long, that there are some organized player in the market. And being a microfinance company, we always have 2 risks in our mind, that is operational risk and credit risk, right? So as far as operational risk is concerned, we always think of that any players or any DRE partners who are providing solutions to microfinance company, they need to be well tested, and their credibility is already established. Because if there is some issues at product level, I think our credit risk is always very high, right? So we envisage that product capabilities or appliance efficiency need to be proven. And the second thing we always think in our mind is that after sales service issues, because whenever we like to introduce any company, any product to our customers, there is a lot of trust among customers among us, right? So if the customer purchase any product, and if he faces any sort of issues during our loan tenure, so the entire concerns comes on MFI, and we take a heat of it. So I think the second thing which we always use to take care, and we consider it as a risk, is that after sales services need to be very clear, and the capability of that manufacturer or the organization which are providing product to end consumer with our help, with our financing option, is that they need to have a very clear-cut distributed after sales network, so that we cannot face any issues going forward. What was the second thing, Anuj, you wanted? You asked?
Yeah. So the second thing, Amitesh, which I wanted to ask is that many of Clean members, they have partnered with MFIs. Many haven't, and they also have developed DRE productive applications. And in the response that we have, the awareness level of MFIs is quite high compared to others. We would like to know from you how MFIs can engage with Clean members. What are the roles and responsibilities for each one of them? So that would be useful for them to understand.
So yeah, so thanks, Anuj. So we have 2 sort of players in market. As of now, we were dealing with organized players who have established proven track record, and we never anticipated any sort of risk. So we are working with them. As far as high value DRE transactions, there are a lot of manufacturers have been attending these clean conferences sessions since last 2-3 years, and interacting with you guys, and came across a lot of manufacturers, because we are taking a lot of interest in financing those applications also. But what we felt is that these players, they are desegregated, they are unorganized, and at times they are not able to suppose their capabilities to us, and we in fact we didn't able to build that underwriting methodologies also to assess the credentials of these manufacturers or customers who wanted to adopt high value DRE solutions. So I think they need to build an ecosystem, and in that direction, policymakers, you as an organization, facilitator. You need to bring facilitate that entire framework so that we can take initiative and finance and take serious consideration of financing those options. So we have a few products, loan products available with us, and we are in fact, we are being approached by few people also, but because of lack of their cash flow or lack of providing their skill set and the fair business plan to us, I think we had very limited options or customers we have financed in recent past. So I think these are the two gaps which we feel that need to be addressed, and we are open to finance at least to finance up to 1 lakh value of the products.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the input, Amitesh. I think that is something I hope the members who are present here would like to learn more about it. One more thing, Amitesh, which is also coming from the members' perspective is, are there any regulations, etc., which the enterprises need to be mindful of, those who are not aware, the clean members?
So no, for us as such, there is no regulation. I think if they have a proven testing standards, they are in fact competing the benchmark standards, quality standards. So I think they can approach us, and we can always look into those products and figure it out, the capabilities and the kind of risk we can envisage, and we can think of financing. That's not there is no any hurdles, I think, for us to take it forward.
Okay. And one last question from my side. So you mentioned a couple of states where you're operating, and if there are members who don't have operations, but they see a lot of potential to engage with any of the MFIs. So do you also would like to engage and try to understand from members if there is a scope of partnership there?
So for microfinance company, if you will see, and you might have done a lot of research also, you will find a very few presence of microfinance company involving themselves into DRA, large value DRA financing, right? So for us also, we wanted to do some pilot, right? So it all depends upon the kind of player or the kind of, I think, business plan these manufacturers or probably these customers they are having, and they can approach us, and we can definitely think in that direction. But we also wanted to have a little of exposure and want to learn practices, because we need to develop the appraisal methodologies, the credit underwriting processes, and a lot of things I think is required, because we have our expertise in delivering smaller ticket size loans and any loans which add to the business activity. I think we have that expertise, but this sort of financing requires different set of understanding. So with adoption of these practices, I think we will be more confident enough, and we can pursue those cases. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Amitesh. I think very valuable inputs. I hope the Secretariat at Clean, we would be working on some of those inputs and engage with our members and reach out to you for further engagement. Thank you, Amitesh. Thank you. To the participants, if there are any questions to Amitesh or any of the panelists, feel free to drop a message there. We'll pick it from there at the last. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Mr. Manoj Rawat from Value Fin. Hello, sir.
Hi, Anuj. Tell me.
Hello, sir. Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we would also like to thank you for sharing your insights during the preparation of the report. Yes. So, sir, maybe you can also introduce briefly about your organization. But in the meantime, just adding a question so that you can club it together. So, sir, from the dairy sector and from Clean, we know you very well, and you have been in this space active, and I would say proactive in identifying ways how we can help the dairy enterprises to access finance. And now that with Value Fin, I'm sure you must also be having learnings from other sectors the investments which you have made in other sectors which can be related to the DRE sector. So maybe a starting point in terms of what would you like to advise the enterprises, though the end users are not present here, but through enterprises and through other NGO partners who are present here, to share some of those learnings from other sector investments. It's something which we would like to hear from you, sir.
Thank you. So before I answer your query, ValueFin is very new. It's just 1.5 years old. Prior to that, I was 12 years with NABARD. So where we started working with a series of enterprises, including solar pump, way 10 years back, 15 years back, how to fund it. That time they were battery based, and we tried to evolve the methodology and how to underwrite the process. How can it be linked with the savings of from the electricity? What will be the viability gap funding? So during NABARD period, we experimented and did a pilot on that. But beyond that, when I was with one of the NBFC, which was also into microfinance plus enterprise finance, Fullerton. We did a lot of, we started with DRE appliances. To a smaller one, standard is lanterns, and then we started even the small power grids, which could be, there we worked with enterprises where we said, the key is the quality of product you are offering to the customer is very, very important. If you offer a substandard quality to the customer, even the main loan which is being offered to the customer can go bad, because he may just come back to you and say, you have offered me a substandard. Generally, DRE products are offered as an additional or a top-up kind of product. So at that time, it was evolving. People were selling products mostly which were not very tested. They didn't have the secondary market, and people were having quality issues. I think the enterprises need to focus that the quality of the product is good, and that will only happen if their business is scalable. To make it scalable, there has to be financing. So it's chicken and egg story. The adequate finance for the enterprises and the scale, they run hand in hand. So this is for the smaller one and quality part. But actual saving or when we talk about climate change or DRE thing, that credit underwriting, identifying for which activity, what should be the parameters, I think that skill sets mostly the financial institutions are lacking. The key is still people see it that if you give me a X security, then I will fund your solar pump set. Or if you give me for a dryer or for a layer, if you poultry layer, if you want to put some kind of 4-5 lakh rupees kind to 10 lakh rupees, which is a higher ticket. Somebody was asking here, what is a smaller ticket? The smaller ticket is 2,000 to 5,000 in case of DRE, which is sold with the financial smaller institution. But when it comes to a solar pump set, if subsidy is there, then it's fine. 40-50% goes, and then you have to give 3 lakh rupees to 5 lakh rupees as a loan size, and it has to be term credit. The farmer cannot or anyone cannot repay you in 1 year. It has to be 3 to 4 years credit. So there was a scheme of the government where there was a back-ended subsidy, or even if it is front-ended subsidy with margin, it has to be a 3 years credit period. But then how do you evaluate? What is the underwriting criteria? Is the pump size quality enough to pump the water? is the panel fitted properly? And if there are very few buyers of that particular product, then generally the operation and maintenance, O&M part, which is very, very critical in bigger DRE equipments, that doesn't give the give a confidence, to the buyer. So what I suggest is, if a bank or financial institution or a NBFC, it does financing in a clustered way, then it has to be tied with a operation and maintenance. That should be good enough for them to put an engineer or a ITI graduate to actually manage if something goes wrong with the equipment. So while with lantern, it is easy, you can go and pick and go to the this. But in case of pump set, in case of dryers, in case of solar dryers, in case of poultry dryers, in case of other equipments which are like floor mills, which are running on solar, or even a small solar grid, which is giving light to a cluster of houses. For that, we need to have a bigger financing, which what we say is the financing should be such that it is viable for the financier, as also there is a scale for the DRE manufacturer. So I think this is very, very, very critical. Now, when a bigger finance is given, in case of banks, and it is a new technology, especially for the customer, he doesn't understand. If it doesn't work, he may not repay. Or so, how do we de-risk the portfolio? One, under our credit underwriting can be perfect, but the other, which I have been suggesting, is can we have a credit guarantee fund? And the credit guarantee funds or the subsidies in this country are age old. I have been with banks and DFIs. They are only for banks. The NBFCs are out of the purview. And today, when NBFCs and microfinance institutions are considered the last mile, delivery of credit, I think they should be brought within the purview of these subsidies or credit guarantee fund. Now, the credit guarantee funds, how they can be made, what could be the size, what could the subscription, and here's a good example of how for FPOs, farmer producer organizations, their SFAC has got a credit guarantee fund, and there is a CGST, STME, there's a fund there also. But what is the efficacy? How are we going to implement it? Who is going to apply for it? Who is being made eligible? That's really has to be thought through for the DRE sector. Otherwise, even after 3 years, we'll be talking about lanterns only, or the government, whatever the government has created, or some big corporate houses taking lease on land and putting up solar panels. But it won't go retail. If it has to go retail, means at least 1 million, 10 million people, 1 crore people have adopted directly some seriously 3 to 5 kilowatt, or then we'll say that the DRE sector has made a serious inroad in the segment. So we should target 10 million retail customers with significant above lantern kind of things, which can be integrated with the MSMEs, which can be integrated with micro small businesses.
Right.
That's the way we have to go forward in this,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, in the report findings also, the financial institutions, they have also reported that, and I think this is something which is very highly recommended about blended finance, where more number of financial institutions can share the risks. I think, and you also mentioned that this is something which we have been talking about and putting in front of SIDBIs and above. for the DRE productive applications, which is like a higher ticket size game, do you have any recommendations to develop such kind of structure or a plan around a credit guarantee fund or a refinancing fund, etc., etc.? And what kind of players do you think Clean should pursue to participate in such a structure?
So there will be actually 4 kind of players in this. The cheapest loan is available for anybody is from banks, because it comes now under priority sector. The NBFCs have slightly higher, and MFIs also have a higher loan size. Therefore, for a customer to go at a 20%, 18%, or 16%, it becomes slightly unviable. So first and foremost thing, but what I can suggest, NABARD has been doing refinancing for agri and allied agriculture activities for ages. SIDBI can do refinancing to NBFCs for, or even a Mudra kind of bank can do refinancing to such all such loans which have been given by NBFCs, and in some cases for even the microfinance institution. Now with refinancing, if the cost of gets reduced, you can offer it at a lower cost. Number one is this which can propel the immediate access to finance. The second is to de-risk the portfolio. Now, as I have been saying, the RIDF like fund, Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, or priority sector gap funding, I have one very simple suggestion. The priority sector is 40% of the bank's lending target. In this, also now the solar sector or DRE sector is covered. And I don't know how much fund is going. The shortfall in the funds which has not gone to the DRE sector should be put under one of these funds, and that can be used for refinancing. Now, I will give you an example. If you don't fund agriculture in RIDF, the banks have to deposit money at 3-4%. And that because that is a penalty, because banks are not doing the lending which is they are mandated to do. Similarly, if we just put one small recommendation under priority sector, that at least out of 40%, 1% or 1.5% of the credit should flow to DRE sector.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every year it is $130 billion is the credit flow for this kind of thing, the rural sector. 2 lakh crore here, 3 lakh crore. Just if 1% goes, just imagine 2,000 crore being flown to going to this sector.
Yes.
And if that is not going through the banks, allow that should be reference should be allowed to the financial institution. So right. Like in that, there is already a recommendation 18% for agriculture and remaining 10% for vehicle.
I think we lost Manoj ji. So can you hear us? David, can you hear me, or is it me who has lost the connection?
Anuj, you're audible. I think we lost.
You are audible and visible. I think we only lost Manoj, I think.
Yeah. So I think very valuable points. I think what Satish ji mentioned, that we all need to work together. And I think on some of these pointers, now that we are working very closely with MNRE, I think we certainly would need support and inputs from Sadhan and other partners, so that these inputs is something which we could share and discuss more, so that they, from ministry side, they would be able to approach SIDBI, NABARD, as well as RBI to look into this. Yeah, so I think that is something which we would certainly take up with MNRE on this. Thank you. Thank you. Manojji, I think we lost you, but we'll speak as and when you come online. Now, I would like to invite Aparna, Aparna from Shell Foundation. Aparna, you are here?
Yes, I'm here. Hope you can hear me.
Hello, Aparna. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Aparna, as I think during our survey also, we discussed the role of donors, foundations, and corporate foundations, etc. And what we know about Shell Foundation is that you have worked with several number of bilaterals and multilaterals to help the DRE enterprises so that they can enter into the market, not only in India, but in other countries as well, in Africa as well. And what we are hearing here is there is a very important role for the financial institutions to also partner to understand and see, understand and pilot some of the interventions or through some programs, etc. What I would like to ask you, Aparna, is how do you see it? How Shell Foundation sees it in terms of partnering with different types of financial institutions to do any kind of these DRE interventions, and more. This is going to help the entire financing fraternity with some solid cases, etc., which will help more finance to enter into the sector.
Sure, thanks so much. So I'll just quickly also introduce Shell Foundation in just a couple of sentences. So we're a UK-based charity, and we work with enterprises directly in India and in Africa. And we also work through other intermediaries like through accelerators, and we also do co-financing with other like-minded funders and donors, and also, like you mentioned, other investors as well. And in terms of themes, we look at access to energy, and which is where the DRE sector falls under for us. And we also look at sustainable mobility for us. So, so this is a sector where historically as well, we have, like a large part of our portfolio is actually DRE sector. And we have been working with really early stage enterprises in this sector also, and have a lot of learnings from there as to what are some of the challenges. So it's a very interesting conversation that we're having here today. And a very big bottleneck that we actually have seen for these enterprises to scale up. So in terms of how donors and other foundations like us can help scale up the sector, I would say that given our interest of scaling up the sector, there are many more like-minded donors as well who are very much interested. And this is a topic that we have time and again debated as to how people like us can help the financial institutions to take that step. I mean, when you hear the enterprises, of course, you see all these issues of them not being able to scale up, and like the chicken and egg problem we just discussed about, right? And when we hear the MFIs and NBFCs and their challenges of actually seeing not credit-worthy borrowers, right? So, I mean, this is the role of a grant maker or a donor where we can come in. So probably things like pilots is definitely something that, donors like us can help do. But I think the bigger question that also then comes in is what is the scale of that pilot, which would be beneficial for the MFIs and the NBFCs? What is it that they would like to see? What are the parameters? Is it just risk, or is it, for example, also the cost of transaction? Because we've also heard time and again that lending to the end consumer also leads to very high transaction cost for them. So it is definitely a very, very operational kind of business. And there are very few NBFCs who are trying to really go to the last mile when we are talking in the context of really early stage enterprises. Then the other thing that we at Shell Foundation and also other like-minded donors have tried to solve by is through guarantee funds. And one such guarantee fund is actually in the works that we are trying to set up along with the IKEA Foundation and Rapo Foundation. Um, so it's not directly, I would say, for the end user financing at this point, but I think the concept is very similar. It is to bring in more debt capital into the whole sector, actually the whole agri and energy sector, and DRE would be a part of it as well. Where we have chosen 3 lenders who would be giving out loans to really early stage enterprises who are trying to solve these difficult challenges. So such mechanisms I feel would be really catalytic for the whole sector, and also an opportunity for funders like us to come together and join hands and solve these challenges. So I see a lot of opportunity and synergies with some of the issues that the other panelists have been mentioning versus what our vision for the sector is.
Yes, thanks, Aparna, for that information. Very insightful. Aparna, there's also something which we have been discussing at Clean within the Secretariat. And generally, what happens is that those enterprises who are well established, they have received some kind of finances, they have penetrated into the market, and they are like part of your programs, etc. But there are also several other enterprises, the smaller ones, who are whose business models, etc., have been tested, and they're all looking for funds, etc. But somewhere they don't fit into the criterias or the requirements of any of the donors who have such kind of programs. What we wanted to know is that do you have such programs, or do you have an intent where these kind of enterprises you can engage with at some point of time, and not like get into lending space, etc., but slowly watch them, have them inside your portfolio, potential portfolio, etc., and at some point of time support them through any kind of programs that you have. How can a Clean engage with you on this, where we can share the portfolio of such kind of companies to you?
Sure, that's a very interesting question as well. So I think in this space, we have seen like really decentralized and fragmented market, like the others have also mentioned. And actually very few productive use innovations are actually scalable and replicable, because most of these solutions are customized to support the local value chains. And that really becomes a challenge for, I would say, everyone to support such enterprises. And that is where we like to operate. We like to really work with very early stage enterprises. And yes, there could be cases where some of the other enterprises could be even more early stage to where we would like to onboard them. And for that, we did enter into a program which probably would have heard about, Powering Livelihoods. That is a program that we have along with CW and Will Grow. It's like an incubator where they have onboarded and chosen a few selected organizations which are very early stage, even earlier stage than some of the enterprises in our portfolio, to help them scale up and give them strategic advisory, operational advice to to help them scale up basically. And so time and again we do work with such accelerators to incubate such companies for the overall growth in the sector. And with this, it also gives us access to really good pipeline, really good innovations which are coming up with the potential to scale. But I think overall for us, I think the key message again here is that there is a lot of scope for organizations to join hands to try and I would say motivate the sector and try and support them in a way, both financially as well as with strategic advice to ensure that these technologies are scalable. They make sense in terms of commercial sense, and the quality, the after sales, all of those things are really, really critical, and they have to absolutely get that right before they can go to the market to raise funds.
Yeah. So for the Powering Livelihoods, I think Clean has been very closely interacting with the CW and the Will Grow team, and I'm sure some of the lessons from there, some of the insights from there is something which we can share with other clean members, and so that they can also participate in such programs in the future and able to raise some kind of money to continue making progress. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much for your time. Now we wanted, now I would like to invite Sanjeev ji. So unfortunately, Sanjeev ji from Madhya Pradesh Gramin Bank, he's not available, but we were able to reach out to him and take his inputs. That is through a video. It's a very short video. So I'll ask my colleague Juhi to play the video. Juhi, we are not able to hear anything. I think you need to unmute. Sorry, increase the volume or something. Juhi, there is a suggestion from Saurabh. He is asking share computer audio too. Juhi, maybe you can try at the last. Maybe I can bring Anubhav now. Do you want to take a try once more?
Thanks. Hello, sir. Is it okay?
Yes, yes, it is okay.
Hello everyone. I am Sanjeev Vadgil, Chief Manager from Madhya Pradesh Gramin Bank. हमारी बैंक जो है वो मध्य प्रदेश के 39 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में वर्क कर रही है. अराउंड 866 ब्रांचेस हमारी है और लगभग 25,000 करोड़ से ज्यादा का हम लोगों का बिजनेस है, जिसके माध्यम से हम लोग ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में सेमी अर्बन एरियाज के अंदर वर्क कर रहे हैं. सभी प्रकार के प्रोडक्ट्स हम लोगों के द्वारा फाइनेंस किए जाते हैं, इंक्लूडिंग डीआरई सेक्टर्स के प्रोडक्ट्स.
थैंक यू सो मच सर. सर, आपसे आरआरबी की पर्सपेक्टिव जानने के लिए हमने और भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस फ्रेम किए हैं ताकि आप डीआरई सेक्टर के बारे में अपने काम को और अच्छे से बता पाएं. तो हमारा पहला क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपने अभी तक में कौन-कौन से डीआरई प्रोडक्ट्स या एप्लीकेशन को लोन प्रोवाइड किया है और आपका ओवरऑल एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा है?
बेसिकली जैसे आप जानते हैं कि जो ग्रामीण बैंक्स हैं तो उनका बेस जो होता है वो कृषि प्रधान कृषि क्षेत्र है. तो नॉर्मली हमारा सबसे बड़ा सेक्टर है केसीसी, किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड, जिसका हम फाइनेंस करते हैं. तो हमारा पहला प्रोडक्ट हमने लॉन्च किया था डीआरई सेक्टर में, जो सोलर होम लाइटिंग सिस्टम्स है, वो हमने केसीसी बारोर्स के लिए लॉन्च किया है. और हम हमारे केसीसी बारोर्स को सोलर होम लाइटिंग सिस्टम्स काफी समय से देता है, क्योंकि उसमें सब्सिडी थी, इसलिए इसका बेनिफिट भी हमारे कस्टमर्स को हुआ है. इन एडिशन टू दैट सोलर पंपिंग सिस्टम के ऊपर भी हम लोगों ने फाइनेंस किया है. तो ये हमारा अनदर एक प्रोडक्ट है. अभी रिसेंटली हमने जो हाउसिंग लोन प्रोडक्ट जो तैयार किया है, इस हाउसिंग लोन प्रोडक्ट में हमने सोलर पैनल को ऐड किया है. ये अगर कोई हाउसिंग लोन लेता है और उसको सोलर पैनल कंस्ट्रक्शन के टाइम पे या परचेज के टाइम पे अगर लेना है तो वो भी उसको ले सकते हैं. तो these are our products जिसको हम मतलब अभी पर्टिकुलर डीआरई सेक्टर के अंदर वो कर रहे हैं.
जी सर. सर, हमारा अगला क्वेश्चन ये है कि अभी गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडीज देती है कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए बैंक को और एंटरप्राइज और फाइनेंस के लिए. अगर गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी देना बंद कर दे तो भी क्या मध्य प्रदेश ग्रामीण बैंक इंटरेस्टेड रहेगा डीआरई सेक्टर में लैंड करने के लिए?
देखो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बैंक तो फाइनेंस करने के लिए है, सब्सिडी अगर आती है तो वो कस्टमर के लिए आती है ना, तो हमारे को तो कोई इशू नहीं है फाइनेंस करने में। बट एट द सेम टाइम अगर सब्सिडी बंद हो जाती है इस सेक्टर में तो शायद कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा। इन दैट कंडीशन में भी वायबिलिटी, इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी निकलती है, क्योंकि जब भी सब्सिडी नॉर्मली उन्हीं सेक्टर में दी जाती है जहाँ पर इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी निकलना मतलब प्रॉब्लम होता है, ताकि कस्टमर को थोड़ा हेल्प मिल जाता है सब्सिडी के माध्यम से, लोन अमाउंट कम हो जाता है तो वो अपनी ईएमआई को मतलब प्रॉपर उसकी इनकम जो भी हो रही है उसमें से चुकाने में सक्षम रहता है। तो इस वजह से, और क्योंकि सोलर के प्रोडक्ट जो भी रिन्यूएबल एनर्जीज के प्रोडक्ट्स हैं अभी फिलहाल के स्थिति में काफी कॉस्टली है, तो इट इज बेटर कि अभी कुछ समय तक अभी सब्सिडी कंटिन्यू हो। मतलब
सर मेरा आखिरी क्वेश्चन आपसे ये रहेगा कि चूंकि आप अभी कंपनियों की बात कर रहे हैं और क्लीन एक ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज को रिप्रेजेंट करता है डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के, आपका कुछ सजेशन है हमारे डीआरई एंटरप्राइजेस के लिए?
सबसे अच्छा तरीका तो यही है कि निश्चित रूप से आप लोग इस सेक्टर में काम कर रहे हैं तो एक तो सबसे मतलब आप लोगों को मतलब बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामनाएं भी कि ये सेक्टर अभी वास्तव में नीड है इस सेक्टर में मतलब काम करने की, क्योंकि डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड से जो सोलर एनर्जी है, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी है, इसके अंदर अभी हमारे देश में बहुत कम काम हुआ है जैसा मुझे ऐसा लगता है। तो इसके अंदर निश्चित रूप से जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं वो बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, और अगर उसमें बैंकर्स की तरफ से जो भी सपोर्ट होता है तो फाइनेंस का हमारा सपोर्ट हम कर सकते हैं, तो हम आगे बढ़ के निश्चित रूप से। और अगर ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में अगर आप लोग काम करते हैं, यहाँ पर अगर कंपनी आती है इस सेक्टर में और गांव ग्रामीणों से मिलती है, उनको अगर जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि सोलर पंपिंग सिस्टम ये हालांकि कॉस्टली पड़ता है लेकिन काफी अच्छा है, क्योंकि गाँव के अंदर लाइट नहीं होती है, स्थिति में अगर आप सोलर सिस्टम से अगर सोलर पंप देते हैं तो उनका इरिगेशन की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाती है, तो ये एक बड़ा अच्छा होगा उससे। तो थोड़ा सा ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में काम करना पड़ेगा कंपनीज को, बहुत अच्छे अवसर है वहाँ पे, अगर वो वहाँ काम करते हैं थोड़ा सा रीजनेबल रेट्स रहते हैं, क्योंकि जैसा आप जानते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ अभी एग्रीकल्चर में इनकम उतनी ज्यादा नहीं जितनी कि अपन अपेक्षा करते हैं, कि बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स भी रहती है। तो अगर उनके कैपेसिटी में आ जाता है, वो रिपेयरिंग कैपेसिटी में आता है उनको, अभी एक हम लोग जेएलजी पे भी काम कर रहे हैं। जेएलजी मीन्स जॉइंट लायबिलिटी ग्रुप्स। नॉर्मली आपको मालूम है कि हमारे देश में जो फार्मर्स की कम्युनिटी उसमें स्मॉल एंड मार्जिनल फार्मर्स बहुत ज्यादा है। अब स्मॉल एंड मार्जिनल फार्मर्स के बीच में बड़े सोलर पंपिंग सिस्टम नहीं आ सकते, क्योंकि उनकी जो कॉस्टिंग है बहुत ज्यादा होती है, इवन सब्सिडी देने के बाद में भी मतलब उनकी रिच में नहीं देता है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में यदि कुछ ऐसा किया जाए कि 4 से 5 अगर लोगों का मतलब मिलाकर एक जॉइंट लायबिलिटी ग्रुप जिसको कि नाबार्ड प्रमोट करता है, वो छोटे फार्मर्स का, स्मॉल एंड मार्जिनल फार्मर्स के अगर जेएलजीज बना लिए जाए और उन जेएलजीज को जिनके आसपास जमीनें हो, तो एक जेएलजी को अगर एक आप सोलर पंपिंग सिस्टम को सेल आउट करने का अगर प्लान करते हैं तो शायद उसमें प्रोडक्ट भी सेल हो सकता है, उन फार्मर्स को भी फायदा हो सकता है। वी कैन थिंक अबाउट इट। सो बट यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम, अगर कोई भी अगर आता है और हमारी बैंक से अगर किसी कंपनी को भी अगर कोई आता है और उसको अगर फाइनेंस के लिए है तो वो निश्चित रूप से अगर वायबल प्रोजेक्ट्स होंगे तो हम लोग निश्चित फाइनेंस करेंगे।
जी धन्यवाद सर, आपका समय हमें देने के लिए। बहुत ही इंसाइटफुल था आपसे कॉन्वर्सेशन। थैंक यू सो मच सर।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
Thank you, Juhi, for playing the video. We are very thankful to Sanjeev ji. Any of the participants who have their business plans, business pipelines in Madhya Pradesh and would like to reach out to RRB, we would be happy to connect with Sanjeev ji. He is very proactive and very much passionate about the clean energy technologies. So do reach out to us if you would like to explore the business potential in Madhya Pradesh. With that, we have the final finalist, Anubhav. Anubhav, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry for keeping you wait till the end, but I think your perspective is something which is something very important for the other financials who are present here. And you heard the perspective of a MFI, NBFC, a donor, and a regional rural bank. And what I would like to begin with you, and since you have a very strong network of end consumers and have been working in the space for quite some time, how has your experience been in engaging with different types of financial institutions uh, uh, which are there? And I think I would like to begin with that, then I'll come with a follow-up question on that. Thanks, Anubhav. Yeah. You may also share a little bit background about your organization, please.
Yeah, sure, Anuj. Thank you, the Clean team also to have me here. My name is Anubhav, and I'm the CEO of Udaipur Urja Initiative, which is a farmer producer company which is based out of southern Rajasthan, especially in the district of Udaipur and Rajsamand. And we primarily work in two verticals of clean technology and agriculture. And so we operate via a model of village level women entrepreneurs to sort of push in DRE products to the village, and at the same time like have a closed loop system of buying agriculture produce from the farmers. So, and we also see how DRE can be helpful in that space as well, in the whole agriculture space. So we've been around for 5 years now, and we have a membership base of 18,500 small landholding farmers. So yeah, that's about the organization. So I think the first part of the question, Anuj, on like how difficult has it been to access finance, right? I think with with the experience that we've had, we in DRE we've done small solar portable lights, water filters, some agri input technologies, clean cook stoves. So we've got into all them 4 major varieties of sort of DRE products, and what we've seen is accessing finance for really low value products, or like in the portable sector, is really difficult, because one, the ticket size is too small, and secondly, I mean financial institutions are not really sort of because the administrative cost of processing such small applications or things like that is too high. So when we're dealing with very small products, say under 5,000, I mean major, we haven't sort of been able to tie up with a major bank or something of that sort. But yeah, bringing in microfinance institutions, I mean, we've had some sort of partnerships, not in a very formal way, but SHG loans or microfinance loans, things like that but that is more on a customer-based initiation. I mean, so there what we have seen is, I mean, earlier, so now I think while Gaurav was giving his presentation also now, many microfinance institutions have also gone into the zero interest size loans, but earlier that was not the case. So what used to happen is that portable products were there, but when you sort of provided it in an EMI model, or you provided it in a sort of small ticket size monthly model, what would happen is that the end price, the customer would be paying almost double the original price of the product. And sometimes there was also an interesting point is how long the DRE products would last. So what would happen is that, in the middle of 6 months or something happens to the product, and there was no ecosystem service to sort of repair it or something, and the customer also would stop paying his EMIs, right? So SHGs and microfinance institutions in the area then stopped funding very small ticket size products also, because they believe that, okay, if 6 months something happens to the product and the customer has nowhere to go, so we rather not fund it, so that, I think that that was a major sort of realization we had while we tried to go for such financing, wherein I think it was also highlighted by one of the panelists before, wherein operation and maintenance, how it can be sort of how you can do a symbiotic sort of relationship with finance, and that we see even in smaller products. or in larger products, of course, it's there. So that has been one aspect for us that we've seen. And the other aspect was, I think there are a lot of non-traditional forms of finance also that Udaipur has sort of tried to tap into, like especially in cook stores, we have gone with carbon credits, things like that. But what we've realized that when you try to tap into a non-traditional form of finance, you need a really large scale to work with. I mean, you cannot work with, say 500 families or 1,000 families. It has to be beyond the range of 10,000 households or 20,000 households to even start with. And the initial capital involved to develop such a project also, which taps into these non-traditional forms, is also a financial mechanism that that banks and other financial support organizations could look into, how to sort of enable the ecosystem enablers. Right. One is you have a customer-based loan for the product. One is that you support the manufacturers of DRE enterprise, of DRE manufacturers. And the third part is that what about the ecosystem enablers like last mile distributors, who are not necessarily MFIs, but who try to tap into different sort of a model. And there we see that there's actually a lack of, sort of financial guarantee to build such projects. I mean, a lot of us talked about ecosystem services. I mean, my question is, how do we support financing of ecosystem services? I mean, having that operation and maintenance, having that supply chain, having those local resource persons to solve small issues in technological products. And that is where something I think VRE, like what we have realized so far,
Right.
If I've understood your question correctly.
Yeah. So, Anubhav, I think in terms of supporting the ecosystem, I'm sure there's a role to play. And going forward, we'll see how we can engage financial institutions, because I think that is an important part there. Anubhav, one more thing, I think the entire discussion has been on financing, but we would love to hear from you. How are you seeing the end consumers' perception towards these productive applications, whether they are receptive, resistant? How are they reacting to this? Are they very much surprised? Oh, a solar water pump is this much cost, or a atta chakki is this much cost, etc. So, because that is something which we would like to connect with the financial institutions and see how we can work on that together. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Anuj, I think over the last couple of years that so for us also the evolution has been quite natural in that sense. We started with very small portable solar lights, and then slowly we moved up the ladder. And one realization that we've had over these years is that so people have stopped looking at DRE just as stopgap arrangements, like 5 years ago, it was more like theek hai, bijli, if the light goes away, I mean, solar will help us just to light the house or something of that sort. I mean, nothing more than that, or just to charge a mobile phone or something. So now I think the perception has definitely moved from just being a stopgap arrangement to the grid, to actually being that, to actually believing that you could totally have a decentralized sort of system in like a total decentralized sort of living, in terms of solar water pumps, or having biogas, or having solar chillers, solar grinders, solar shoeing machines, things like that. So that belief is definitely there. But yeah, I think and people are also interested to sort of invest in it, especially in areas where there's redundant supply of electricity, or not it's not connected to the mainstream so much. I mean, markets are far off, things like that. But I think there now what is happening is that people are also looking at sort of, so if you like we get questions from customers, like suppose we invest on a solar pump, and we tell them that, okay, this is the cost, this is how it's going to be, and things like that. Now we've been hearing a lot of question around, okay, if something happens to it, say something happens to it, can I go to the local market and find a repair person to sort of solve that problem? Because now when we are talking about big ticket size products, like say above 1 lakh or above 2 lakhs or even say 50,000, I mean, people look at such products with a 10-year timeline or a 15-year timeline. Now actually it's becoming like, now it's not that the rural market doesn't have the necessary cash flow or the income to afford it. It is also how they are looking at the ecosystem service around it. Again, I'm coming back to that. Like say for motorbikes or scooties or mobile phones even. Today you have a mobile phone repair center at each and every small tehsil level places also, or a bike repairman or a scooty repairman. So now DRE also has to focus on creating this localized sort of channels where things can be repaired easily, because that is one question that we hear a lot. If we invest 1 lakh, okay, that's fine with us, but if something happens to it, who is going to come? Because my local pump repair guy knows how to repair the regular pumps that are already there. If it's a specialized unit, I mean, will I find the spare parts to repair it? Where do I go for that? So questions like that.
Yeah.
So definitely, I mean, there is, traction in the fact that people want to move into bigger products, more income generation wise. And also there's a lot of scope, but I think the main questions that we face in that are these two, especially what I've seen till now. And also, I think the other question is so people generally, so when we've asked a lot of people to approach banks to sort of get personalized loans, to afford such products. So now what is happening is, say how it is also for customers. I mean, it's also important that how do you get the loan with the minimum paperwork, right? So now, I mean, if I talk about, say, a motorbike, I mean, you have these distributors who do all your EMI and the bank related paperwork in the distribution center itself, in the showroom itself, right? So even rural customers are getting used to that style of availing EMIs. Now, for a DRE, I mean, there are very few who want to step inside the bank, do this whole process, and many times the Grameen banks also do not necessarily sort of specialize in, okay, solar chiller, what is a solar chiller, whether it'll be a personalized loan or what sort of a loan it is, the interest rate, things like that. So I think they are very wary of that process. So from the manufacturer side, how do we create that? So if the product comes with a bank partnership as a total package, right? So there's a central level partnership, because localized level partnerships are very difficult. What I've realized that so if it comes with a central level partnership, say like, okay, like TVS partners with ICICI Bank to provide EMIs and things like that. So how, if it comes with a central, I think even for the local bankers, the local staff in the banks, they have an easy mandate to sort of pass those on to the customers, which currently is not happening. And that is what we hear from the customers, that we can't go to banks for this. We have to either borrow from the money lender or things like that to get this loan, or to service this EMI for this. So yeah, I think these are the two important points I would like to keep.
Yes, Anubhav, I think very clearly you have shared the perspective of end users, and I think where is that gap that needs to be bridged. And I'm sure all the financial institutions who are present here, as well as Clean members, the enterprises, I'm sure we would work together in bridging that gap. Very, very useful points, Anubhav. Certainly, as from Clean also, we would like to look at it more closely. Thank you, Anubhav. So I think we are running short of time, but we'll quickly take some questions which the participants have asked. So Amitesh ji, I think there is a question for you. You mentioned about DRE partner taking responsibility for after-sales services. In a typical DRE MFI partnership, which partner finds the customer and runs the sale process? Amitesh ji, you are here.
Yeah, Mr. Anuj. So, in fact, I have reverted in chatbot also.
Okay.
So, in a typical such kind of relationship, obviously, MFI who does financing has to be at forefront. So, typically, MFIs drive the sales. Obviously, the strong product support and training comes from a product company or probably manufacturer side. So, it's sort of that relationship. I think both partners has to play equal role, but obviously, MFI had to drive sales because. If they want to, because they have their outreach at different parts of a country and states. So and for these purposes only, I think manufacturers are tying with MFIs. They do not have reach among different parts of the country, and they do not have that financial capabilities to finance them. So ownership of driving sales lies with the microfinance company.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Piyush. There is another question. Is there any insight on how the savings mobilized by HG Federation be utilized for financing DRE sector products? Anyone from the panel would like to answer this one? Shall I repeat the question for the panelists? Is there any insight on how the savings mobilized by Self-Help Group Federation be utilized for financing DRE product? Anybody has insights about this can respond.
So let me try to answer this question, because we are typically a microfinance company and we are financing through JLG structure. And for this kind of financing, we typically do individual financing wherein customers, they approach us and we have our own model of underwriting, and we typically go through individual screening of the business as well as cash flow and lend it. So it's not a JLG model. For SHG sort of thing, I think mobilized savings can have a guarantee, and the financing partners will have a faith on those SHGs. If they wanted to apply and want to buy a high valued product, I think banks have that options to finance them, because SHG financing are being primarily led for by banks only, regional rural banks or national banks. For MFIs, I think there is no structure in place wherein on behalf of this mobilization, SHG mobilization, we can able to finance them.
Anuj, what can be done actually? SHG federations, if they have savings, I think it will be more easier for them to access more bank funds, as Amitesh was mentioning, because now there is a the normal practice is that banks lend to each of the individual SHGs, but now they are federations also. But only thing is that there is generally because that is again an intermediary structure. It is not much financing of banks to SHG federations has not become that widespread. But if the savings of the federation are there, and if they can be used as some sort of a guarantee or backup, it may enthuse the banks to lend more to SHGs for financing the DRE products through their SHG members. That is one possibility. So, but the nitty-gritty of that has to be really worked out.
Thank you, Satyajit. Thank you, Amitesh. I hope this answers Sanjay Bhartiji's question. I have another question from Victor. How much of the report findings and future development in DRE financing do the panelists think will depend on geographies? For example, what works in a strong financial ecosystem in Karnataka may not be possible in Jharkhand. Maybe quickly for the sake of the report. So Victor, we did not jump into the state-wise perspectives of different types of financial institutions and the end users who are there. The picture that we are trying to portray is more from a national level at a high level. But I think this is something which can be looked at the state level ecosystem of different states. Yeah, but if anyone from the panel would like to respond to that. Okay.
Anuj, actually, of course, it's everywhere the state-specific issues will be different, but it is not necessary that a state which has a well-developed financial institution mechanism will only look at funding for the DRE more. Actually, we have seen in the past also, like states like Bihar or even Manipur, which are behind a state like Karnataka in terms of a financial system development level, have seen financing of DRE and other, especially the solar related, solar lighting related, home lighting related products. So it again depends on the need there and depends on the financial institutions located in those states taking that as one of their important products to be financed and popularized.
Right, sir. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think Atul will get in touch with you along with Sadhan to work on that. I think in the interest of time, maybe I can now hand it over to Juhi for the final this thing.
Thank you, Anuj, and thank you, panelists, for this healthy discussion. I would once again like to invite Piyush to give the closing remark and word of thanks.
Okay, thank you, Juhi. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everyone for a robust discussion and engaging so deeply in this topic. I'm very encouraged to see that we are half an hour above the time, but still sort of going strong and meaning to discuss and unpack some more aspects of financing for the dairy sector. It's a vibrant community and growing all the time. So I encourage all of you to reach out to each other and explore partnerships, explore opportunities for how financing can be mobilized. We've learned some important things in this call, which may not necessarily be new, but have come into sharper focus lately based on experiences of microfinance companies working with DREs, things like the importance of after-sales service, especially as the system sizes grow bigger and the stake in the ground is becoming higher and higher. So please bear that in mind, all you DRE fellow practitioners out there, and feel free to reach out to the microfinance companies who have sort of often offered a open door to the DRE sector in terms of exploring partnerships. So once again, thank you for everybody for joining, and thanks to the CLEAN team who were involved in putting together this survey and this report. It's always very insightful to get a pulse of the market, and it indeed has been insightful to hear the findings this time. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Piyush. So here we come to the end of the session. Thank you everyone for participating in the session. Hope it was insightful. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Satish sir.
Thank you.